Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So today, as you can see, I got my hands on the newly released NECA Toy 7-inch shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Now this is the shrunken down version of the 1/4 scale shredder that they released many months ago. And just like the Turtles that came before this is a GameStop exclusive. So you can pick it up from GameStop. I got mine from GameStop.com. $24.99. So it's a good price for what you're getting. But if these are anything like the Turtles, if you got the money to get it and you want it, just get it as soon as possible, because you never know how hard they're going to be to find. So this is part of wave 2 of the GameStop exclusives that come with Shredder. There's a Splinter, and then there's 2 Foot Clan soldiers. So you can get all those and create yourself a cool little diorama. Let's just flip it around on the back and you can see some of the photography and some of the artwork and the text that they have here, basically just explaining the origins of the Turtles and their nemesis, the Shredder. I am really super excited about this. This is the first Shredder figure that I have ever had, and definitely the only Shredder figure from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I don't even have the cartoon ones, as I never was able to find it at Target. But before I open this up and take a look at it and get a close-up, let me first give some recognition to some of the people that helped make this figure possible. So, very special thanks to Randy Falk, who's the director over at NECA. He's usually the one that we associate with the brand. Sculpt Trevor Zammit and Alex Heinke. Fabrication Roger Fernandez and Anthony Minicino. Paint John Wardell and Jeffrey Trapp. Photography Stephen Mazurek. And package design Chris Ramo. Apologies if I got anybody's name wrong, but thank you very much for those people that helped make this possible, and everyone else all up and down the supply line that contributed into getting these into consumer hands. You are appreciated. All right, so without further ado, let's open this guy up. If you have been waiting, wishing, hoping for a Shredder figure that you can be proud of, that you don't have to spend a lot of money for, and one that could satisfy almost every single nostalgia bone in your body, then this is the one that you're going to want to get. Now, this figure, it carries with it a lot of the same tropes that we've come to expect from NECA figures, in the way that makes these figures good, and in the same ways that can hold the figures back. I'm going to talk about the good right now. The good is how it looks. It looks amazing for this scale, 7 inches. The amount of detail that went into this shredder, it's amazing. It's amazing that they sell these things for the price that they sell them for. Let's go over some of these details here. Now, one of the first things that you are going to notice is that Shredder has a lot of sparkly bits on him. It's like someone took his outfit and dumped it in glitter. But it's not glitter. It doesn't rub off on your fingers or anything. It's a part of the plastic that it's made of. And it was the same thing on the 1/4 scale figure. But it's awesome. It's an awesome detail that they have captured perfectly in this smaller form. And it goes all the way around to the front and the back of the purple that he has on, as you can see there. But then also, check out Shredder's freaking cape. Now, I know in the movie, we probably didn't pay too much attention to the cape. He was in a lot of dark scenes, but you know, the fact that it looks almost like zebra print, but not really, but it's still shiny and metallic, that's true to form with this figure. And NECA captured it perfectly in this smaller scale. You can look at the inside lining of it and see that it also has that sort of sparkly detail in it. And there are wires in this cape on the left side and the right side, so you can try to, you know, bend it and fashion it the way that you want. Now, the cape comes separately inside of the box. And if you're wondering, how do you attach the cape to Shredder? You can't just put it over his head because his head is too big, it's too wide. There's actually like these little tiny clips right underneath his neck. And it's almost like, you know, connecting a regular buckle. You know, one end just goes under or over the other, and then you can snap it together. It goes together really easily. It might be a little bit challenging at first because, you know, you don't want to break anything, but you gotta put it around his neck and you gotta try to squeeze the two together, you know, because it doesn't naturally have enough slack in order for you to make it connect. So you gotta tug it a little bit. And then you can just put it underneath his helmet, and then it lays pretty good. Like I said, it does have wires in it, so you can just take the wires, you can bend it a little bit so that you can have the cape sitting as naturally as it can without looking like it's a little bit too bunched up in one area or another. Now, another wonderful, wonderful detail about this figure is the face sculpt. The face. Now, of course, Shredder has this mask. And, you know, I want to keep the mask on him because he's Shredder. I want to keep the mask on the Shredder. But as you know, in the movie, when he took off the mask, you know, to reveal the damage that was done to him, you can take this mask off and you can get a good look at his face, along with those scars, those nicely detailed scars on his face as well. And it looks just like the actor. You know, unfortunately, I don't know the name of the actor who played Shredder, but they did a really good job of capturing his likeness. Even if you haven't seen the movie in a very long time or look back at a screen grab, you can look at his face and say, yeah, that looks like that guy from the movie. NECA, you did it. You captured it. It's awesome. Now, the way that this mask works is that his ears, they're not really ears, they're just places where you can connect this mask, because there's little indentations inside the inside of the mask. So you can't just put it back on, you know, and then everything falls into place. You kind of got to line it up around those ears in order for it to snap into place, because otherwise, if you just try to stick it on there any old kind of way, you run the risk of it just kind of moving around and wobbling like that and not really fitting properly. So you just got to take a little bit of extra effort, and then the little part where his mask is, it does bend back a bit, so it's flexible. And once you line up the little indentations on the helmet with where his ears are, and you kind of push it in, and sometimes you could hear it click into place, and that'll just help it to stay put. So if you move him around a little bit, you don't have to worry about his mask flipping up and down and him not really looking like himself, you know, because no one wants a Shredder with a weird looking mask. Another nice little detail I want to point out with the hands is the paint on the hands. They really made a really nice mixture of you know, what the human hand actually looks like. You know, for a lot of people, especially if your skin is a lighter tone, you don't just have one color. It's like variations. You know, you got blood in there, so you can see like the lightness of his hands, and it kind of gives way to a little bit of a brighter red. It's a very gradual change, but it's also very nice. You know, and to me, it almost looks like, you know, the hands of a guy that's well worn, you know, as proper it should be for old Shredder here. So yeah, you can see like the little indentations on his fingers and everything, and in between, and the veins inside of his hands. Just little things like that that really help figures like this stand out and be the best that they can possibly be. Now, what other things does this Shredder come with as far as accessories go? Well, you're going to get this, kind of like this. I'm not too sure what you call this. You know, it's like a bow staff, but it has pointy bits on it. And then you also get a couple of interchangeable hands, a couple pairs of interchangeable hands. So you got the Shredder claws right here, and the clawed hands are all his left hand. So he comes with one already on there, and then you get two more of his left clawed hands. One open, one closed, and then he also gets a couple of regular hands, a regular little fisted hand here, and then he has another hand that has a little bit of that has a hole in it basically on the top, so that you can fit a knife. And with that knife also comes this little case in which to carry the knife. You know, so you can get Shredder in knife poses if you want, but if you're like me, you are never going to have a Shredder without this attached to him. You have to do it. You have to do it. And while we're on the subject, let's talk a little bit about the articulation. This is another one of those things that when it comes to NECA figures, you know, it's usually the downside with NECA figures. The articulation, while it's there, it makes you nervous because it's tight. And because it's tight, it makes you feel like you're going to break it. Or you may make it loose and you don't want it to be loose. So let's just say, like, for example, let's take a look at these knees here. These knees, his knee is bending quite easily, but at first it was kind of stiff, and I really was like working on it. And then when I finally got it to bend, and then I just let it go, then you can tell like, oh man, one leg is a little bit looser than the other. It's just one of those things that goes along with the territory. They're not going for themselves. The joints are staying where they're supposed to stay. But, you know, this is the classic NECA. Got to be kind of careful if you don't want to break it, because that could happen kind of things. Shredder doesn't have like a lot of super crazy articulation. You know, you can make his legs go out ever so far. And if he can go further, I just don't want to test that because I don't want him to break. But, you know, it's good enough for what you want him to do, you know. So you got his arms here that can, you know, they go up, but you got those shoulder pads right there that can kind of block the way a little bit. He does have double jointed elbows, and they do make it a point to point that out on the box so you can, like, you know, Shredder, right? And also his hands have hinges on them as well, so you can kind of get the hand to go up like that, and you can also move it down so it can be more parallel to the ground. As far as his waist, I'm not sure if his waist even moves, because if it does, yeah, it does. Okay, so it was just a little bit stiff. So his waist does move. There you go. Does it crunch? Kinda. Yeah, but like I said, if I have to work a little bit too hard to do it, I don't really want to do it because, you know, I don't want to mess anything up. That's just me. You can do whatever it is that you want to do with your own figure. As far as the feet go, you do have some pivot, cool ankle pivot, but there's no toe articulation. That's actually one thing that I wish he had. I wish that he did have toe articulation, because I tried to get him into some poses that I feel that he would have stood up better on his own if he just had toe articulation that can just do this, you know, so that he can plant himself like this as opposed to it just being flat like that. Does he stand up decently well on his own? Of course, you know, you got to work with him. I almost had him right there. Almost had him right there too. I've been kind of messing around with them, so it's okay. Always a good idea to try to get yourself a stand, like one of those NECA stands. They're not too expensive. You can find them at Target, and you'll be able to get those, plug it into the peg holes on the bottom of his feet, and therefore you will ensure that the Shredder or any of your NECA figures will stand up in poses that you put them in, as long as the poses aren't a little bit too crazy. Oh, there you go. See, he's standing up on his own, so you know that it works. You don't have to work too hard for it. So yeah, one last thing, detail on the back of his helmet is like chainmail or something. I'm not too sure, but it is done very, very, very well. Good paint, good variation there. It's what you come to expect from NECA. NECA always does such great things with these figures. They do the license really good, and I hope they continue to come out with these figures that are very high quality and very nice like this, so that they can in turn sell them, and then, you know, the people who control the licenses will be like, hey, you guys are making pretty good money, so how would you like to make some more Turtles figures? I know people don't really care for the third movie, but I would like a Scepter, the one, you know, the thing that sent them back in time. I like the third Turtles movie. I don't care what anybody says. But anyway, this is the NECA Toy 7-inch Shredder, exclusive to GameStop, $24.99. Get it while you can. I hope the supply is better than the Turtles. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, if you got the money and you want the figure, go get it. Now is the time. Strike when the iron is hot. So that's all for now, everybody. I also have Splinter, so I'm going to do a review on that very, very soon. I can't wait to put all of these figures together on my shelf. It took a very long time, many years to get to this point, but we're here. And we're happy. So until next time, I'm Jeremy. I'll talk to you later.